MotherBot by Darian Chavez. Part 1. An Old World Broadcast Interview Transcript, 2050. Cathra. Old Vega, welcome to the future of scientific exploration. The Global Alliance of Interstellar Agencies' very own Growth Organization Services groundbreaking research in genetic advances, space habitation, and preventative nutrition is paving the way for the future of the human race. What kind of future? Let's ask lead researcher Dr. Sunuk Ukeo Rice. Dr. Sun, you work in the genetics research lab. Tell us about GO's latest project. Dr. Sun. It's Dr. Rice, actually, but yes, a very exciting time for science, Cathra. Imagine if we could take something as small as a crab and grow it to the size of a house. That's food for a dozen people with a single crab. The science behind it is amazing. Basically, we've modified the crab's DNA to promote growth, alter limb size, and introduce novel features like geometric shell design and moving the eyes around so it can see in multiple directions at once. Cathra. Quite the achievement. How would you raise, control, and harvest such monsters? And what are your thoughts on the ethical concerns being called out by local animal rights protection group Creature Care Alliance? 2285. Chapter 1. Hawke. I woke to the bright lights of a hospital room. The view from false windows projected a foreign blue sky and strange tall flora swaying in an imaginary breeze. My arms gleamed with metal, which was weird because the last time I saw my body, I distinctly remembered bionic legs as my only visible augmentation, not arms too. Further examination revealed it wasn't just my appendages. I was a top to bottom bot now. My whole body was built in manu-fiber, complete with the cybernetic uplink. I might have freaked out, not a fan of bots. But the woman sitting next to me, haloed in fluorescence, looked familiar in the most wrong way. The woman was old in the way a monument got old after the horrifying event it was built for had been forgotten. Graying and cracked all over, her distinct features rubbed away so that you almost can't tell what was there before. But if you were lucky enough to have seen it at its heyday, your memory filled in the gaps. Her hair had always been white, but the sheen of youth had dulled. She had always been thin, but instead of the picture of childish invincibility I remembered, she gave off a frail air of breakability. Inanna? I expected my voice to croak with disuse, but it rang uncomfortably loud for the short distance between us. Not even the distinct whine I'd grown used to hearing behind Vought vocalizations was present. It sounded like me, which was somehow more unnerving. She smiled. You've been asleep a long time, Hawke. Her voice was wrong. The quiet croak of age was there, yes, but something else, too. Something that didn't match my memory. It was the first sign I was being deceived, and the first sign I missed. Had I caught it, I might have saved us all some time. The conversation went as you'd expect. I wanted to know the basics. Where am I? Where's everyone else? Why am I a pile of scrap metal now? Why are you old? Weren't clones supposed to stop aging at adulthood? But the answers were less than satisfactory. I was in a hospital on the planet-like habitat T-54G, where I'd been since the Earth incident, while the Galactic Alliance of Interstellar Agencies board of directors decided what to do with me. But the conversation was cut short when my cybernetic hookup realized I was awake and began downloading all the information my brain reflexively requested. I had assumed by Earth incident, Nana had meant the collapse of the growth organization biome complex, which, yes, I had caused. It wasn't, according to the data streaming along my periphery, the Earth incident. The Earth incident was an affectionate nickname for the day the Earth had been unceremoniously pushed from the Goldilocks Zone to make way for more planet-like habitats. A procedure that had been decided on by the Gaia Board of Directors some months before. Business as usual for intergalactic residential management. What made it an incident, apparently, was the group of Earth-dwelling rebels that attempted to put a stop to it by blowing the Growth Organization President, Mallory Fox, and Chief Automation Officer of Gaia Military Support Operations, Major General Axel Soma V, while they departed Earth in an agency spacecraft. The report stated that all but one of the rebels had perished in the explosion. The one survivor had been the rebel leader. I performed an internal scan of my manu-fiber body, realizing for the first time how utterly and completely fucked I was. It was too much. I couldn't take all the information in. I couldn't sort through it, couldn't think. I could feel a familiar wave of panic rising. Can a bot have a panic attack? But I could find out the answers. I noticed the date of the report, the Earth incident, the death of the rebel team mentioned, my injuries, had all occurred 85 years ago. I looked at Inanna, who smiled serenely, gesturing at the window screens as she talked on, oblivious to what was happening to me. I blinked and a warning appeared in my front eyeline. Adrenaline spike detected. Automated shutdown to commence in three, two, no! I shouted. Inanna froze, a look of alarm folding the creases in her face. One. When I awoke next, the room was dark. The windows projected a serene, starlit sky decorated in a series of moons. Inanna's chair was empty, aside from a small book. The cover damaged, the page edges frayed. I sat up and reached for it. My arm extended the extra 2 feet I needed to reach the chair, then collapsed back to a usual human length. I paused, the book in my hand, and stared at my arm. A loss gripped me that I'd never felt when my knees had been replaced. Possibly because I remembered, acutely, the pain and sensory overload of the bones in my legs breaking. I only wanted the pain to stop. I would have traded anything, even my freedom, to just make it stop. I was lucky to know people who didn't ask that of me, who'd help me because I needed it without expecting anything in return. Otherwise, I would have ended up like so many others in the colonies on Earth, abandoned in the desert, awaiting death by sunlight or one of the growth organization monstrosities. I turned my arm this way and that, catching the false light of the projected moons. I was strange to be on this side. I fought the bots before, hated them, and now I was one of them. Almost. I had my brain. I was able to see that in the body scan before I was shut down. Before I shut myself down? How did this work? Was I in charge, or was this body? Or was the body being controlled by something else? My head was beginning to ache. I didn't know bots could get headaches. That's when I noticed that I could feel the book in my hand. I rubbed my manufiber fingertips along the soft leather of its binding. I flipped through the paper and noted the subtle scent of age and dust mixed with ink and something else. Something that reminded me of forbidden moments stolen in dark corners, locked in breathless embrace. I felt warmth bloom on my face and between my legs. I glanced around, ashamed, as if I'd been caught doing something I shouldn't. Then, carefully, I peeled back the cover and caught a letter as it slipped from between the pages. The letter. Hawke, I hope these pages find you. It's been just me and Bug these past 85 years, and most days I'm reminded of all of you from some small scrap of memory filtered through this new world. It's everything Vern said it would be, and more. But someone I trust is there with you now, an old friend. Don't worry, they're there to help. I've taken down as much information as I could track down before it all started, and tried to remember everything else as accurately as possible, with a little help from our friend. I hope it helps. There's work to be done, but I don't want to overwhelm you with all the details until you've acclimatized to your new situation. When you're ready, and if you want to join me, I'll be waiting 1 star away. Signed, Kid. I flipped through the pages of the journal. Words were scrawled in a neat, block-lettered hand alongside pages that didn't belong, but had been sewn in, pasted, or slid between other pages. There were leaves ripped from books, pages pulled from reports with official letterheads, photographs, sheets of letters written in different hands, newspaper clippings, and more. It's as if someone had created a scrapbook dedicated to the last 100 years of history. My history. Everything seemed to relate to my time on Earth, right around where my memory goes blank. The same time period I was being accused of killing my friends and the Go employees. Answers were in this journal. With a deep breath, I turned to the first page.